Welcome back to Open Line tonight. We are talking with the candidates from District 6 for the school board in Metro Nashville Public Schools. We hosted the folks from District 2 yesterday. It'll be District 8's turn tomorrow. There are 3 contested races for the school board this year. School board members, as you all well know, hold the term for 4 years. Thais Hunter is the incumbent in District 6. She chose not to join us tonight, but we do have Fran Bush, Earl Lattimore, and Aaron McGee. Thank you all for being here so very much. Had a great conversation over the last 35 minutes. We've got about 25 more to get things going. We are also streaming online and on Facebook, so to all those viewers, thank you. Camille chimed in and said, there's too much dishonesty, deceit, and exploitation of children in this district. It's unacceptable, unacceptable, unethical behaviors. I want to jump off that and say, if you were elected as a school board member, how would you work to restore confidence in not only in the school board, but also just the general system, the district, and so that you're attracting new families? Because when you get down to it, Nashville Public Schools, they need new families to say, yes, we want to go to school there, right? Yeah. So what do you do as a school board member?
I think Carl Dean, our former mayor, said it all the time that all of these entities work together. So whether it's school board, whether it's the school board, the council, the Senate, all these positions really work together. Yes, we have our specific roles and responsibilities, but I bring that up because I use one of Earl's favorite words, it's the equity, and it's collaboration. And I think that I said this in my opening statement that the perception of our schools in Antioch, they have to change. While at the voting polls and when knocking on doors, I found that there are families strong families, 2-income households, 2 college degrees, both parents are working. But those parents, those strong families are taking kids outside of the district. It's not that they don't support Antioch schools, but no family has 3 to 5 years to wait for a struggling school to get it together. And so I always say I support a family's right to choose which school their child goes to. However, what I've also told parents is that even if your child is going to school outside of the district, that's not the issue. We all have a role to play in making sure that our community schools are strong, because we know that strong schools equals strong communities. And just to put a cap on this, the reason that this school board race is so important, the reason that in some cases it's been contested in the way that it has been, because the person that holds that seat holds the future of our city in their hands. Our council people, particularly in District 6, they need for our schools to be strong so that they can attract more businesses to our district. They need those schools to be strong so that they can attract more educated families to our district, and that's why it's so essential. I have to say this because the thought just came, because I want to make sure that I answer your question. When you talk about how to get the community back engaged, for me, my plan is to make sure I've told people on the stump that I'm going to be a candidate or an elected official that shows up beyond the election season, and making sure that I'm bridging the information gap for them from Bransford Avenue to Bell Road, and then taking those issues that are pressing to us on Bell Road and bring them and advocate for them loudly at Bransford Avenue. And that's where the Board of Education is located. And so folks in Antioch, they want a candidate that's going to be visible beyond the election season and that holds regular quarterly community meetings and engage them in a way whether they have kids in the district or not. They're taxpayers and they know that their dollars have a direct impact on the success of our schools. That's what I plan on doing.
All right, Earl, you're up next.
Keeping in mind that, you know, as a state, we believe all means all. And as it relates to how to restore confidence, I believe in listening. People want to be heard, and we have to, as leaders of nonprofit organizations, business owners, we have to create a space where people can actually have a voice. And I think that restoring the voice of the people through different community listening sessions, and through, whether it be at a church or at a school or at a community center, we have to restore a space that's safe, where people can actually express how they actually feel as it relates to education. And like Aaron said, whether you have a child in the school system or not, you're still a stakeholder in the community. So you're invested just like everyone else. else. So I think creating a space where everybody has a voice, where everybody can be invested and can be heard, and then moving forward. And you can't please everyone, right? But moving forward in a way where we can get on one accord and realize that everything that we're doing in the best interest of children.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fran, how do you restore or grow confidence?
Well, one of the things that I've been very talented in doing is that, I've been an HOA board president for 17 years, not one but 2 communities. And the reason why I have been in this seat for so long is because communities trust me. They trust that I'm going to be a voice for change and making sure that we move our community forward. And not only being a part of my own community, but I go outside of my community and I do a lot of work in the community, volunteer work. I have rolled up my sleeve for years on fighting issues in Antioch just so we can stop the bleeding. So I've invested a whole lot, and I understand and I know how to get that done as far as making sure we have community engagement, making sure that we have parental engagement. I work with a nonprofit, and that's what I do. I work with those families, supporting them in and outside of that organization. And resources and things like that. So I've been very successful on doing that. We just have to make sure that we understand that we have to get this right. And with school in our district, we have a lot of great schools. We have a lot of work to do, and that's the reason why parents are making decisions to do something different outside the district.
Okay, let's go back to the lines. We have Erica on the line. Hi, Erica. Thanks for calling in. What is your question?
Yes, my question, and first of all, thank all of you candidates for actually putting yourself out there to serve public office. But I'd like to ask each of them to give me an example of how they feel that they would be the most effective consensus builder to join our board.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that question, Erica. I alluded to it in my response just a second ago about making sure that as an elected official, I plan on bridging the gap. We know that even when you take Metro Council into consideration, our school district in Antioch, what people may not realize is how many council districts are represented within our school district. And there are 7 council districts that are represented within our school district. So that means that there are 7 council members that we overlap one another within our district, and we need to work with those council members. I attended a community meeting last night, I believe, that 4 council women held in Antioch. And that was a great example of collaboration. Metro Police, they were there to speak to the community about issues that are present to us, whether it was body cameras or whether it was street parking. They were there. And those 4 council members were able to come together and bring their constituents together to have a collective conversation about the things that are happening in Antioch. And before I left that room last night, I told one of the voters who were in the room who hadn't cast their vote yet, but I said, if I hold something like this, are you going to show up? Because I want our meetings in the community that are geared toward education to have just as much energy and have just as large of attendance as that meeting had last night. So for me, specifically, Erica, it is about working with our council members as well to make sure that when they go and they make those decisions that actually impact the school's budget and the resources that are coming to our district, that there is an understanding of what we need. And let me say this, my goal is to be proactive and not reactive too. And if you've been paying attention to what's the outcomes of the budget and why we had to go to council and make that appeal to them about increasing the taxes, I think that was a reactive stance. Had our I'm gonna speak for District 6, had our District 6 council person had greater relationship and been able to bridge the gaps, I think that we could have had a different outcome.
Earl, up next.
So believing in that good C word, collaboration. I believe in everything that we do. We must have collaboration. And for me, I've been one as I would say a community change agent. I would say a community collaborator. I'm somebody who professionally, personally believes in relationships and relationship building. That's what I've built my campaign on. That's what I stand on. That's what I'm going to do when this race is over. And whether, you know, I sit on this board or not, you know, and sitting on several boards across this city that work with advocating on behalf of young people, that work with meeting the needs of the disadvantaged, that work with those who are being disenfranchised each and every day. What brings me to the table and why I feel like I'm qualified is because that's what I stand on. That's the fundamentals of who I am. And so, yeah. That's me.
Fran, how can you be a consensus builder? How have you done it too?
Well, one of the things on the board that we have seen, and I think it's why Erica asked the question, because there has been a lot of division on the board. And so what I would like to do if I'm elected is we have to come together and we have to make sure we have that conversation and making sure we're moving things forward for our children and our teachers and everything that it supports it and that's around it. So the first thing we have to do, we have to build that trust back for our parents and our teachers, because right now that's not where we are, and I think that's why we're not being able to have a trust that they want to see, and that's the reason why, you know, parents are feeling uneasy about keeping their kids in the district.
We have 2 callers on the line, but I want to ask this real quick, and I'm going to tell you to limit it to at least under a minute so we can get through this. But your #1 priority when it comes to District 6 and how you plan to accomplish it. Go ahead.
The #1 thing I want to do, I want to bring the community together. We have to have a conversation with parents. If I'm elected as a new board member, my first responsibility is to make sure that I'm having those conversations. It is very important to make sure that our community feel like they do have a voice and that their voices are being heard, and making sure that we're going to execute. They're tired of seeing over the past 4 years we have not had that. So that's the reason why there is such a missing link for our district. So it's very important that if I'm elected, to make sure that I fill that gap.
Okay.
That's a very difficult one for me when you say bring it down to 1, but I'm going to try to do this in 60 seconds. And I have to say this because my thing is SEL and care and holistically looking at children. However, EL services definitely, because we are in a very, very diverse community. But that social emotional piece, again, I believe that children need love, they need care, they want attention, they like discipline, and they're also lacking discipline. And so we have to create an environment that is beneficial and constructive to them actually learning.
Okay. Aaron?
It's on me.
Yep.
You know, well, my vision for District 6 is that every child in the district, no matter what school they attend, no matter what color their skin is, and no matter what language they speak, are all reading on grade level by the year 2025. And so there's a plan in place for that, the Blueprint for Early Childhood Success, that many of our community stakeholders, from the Dollar General Literacy Foundation to MNPS, and a number of others, United Way, have all come together, and they have said that we're going to move the needle in literacy. And I said it earlier, when you look at the data specifically for District 6, our students are not reading on grade level. And so what I would want to do is to engage folks to actually start to volunteer in the schools. We have some of that happening already, where folks are sitting in the hallways, retired teachers reading with students. And so I think that the community has a role to play in moving the needle in literacy in District 6.
Okay, I like this 1 minute time limit. So we have 9 minutes left. We have 3 callers on the line. This is what we're going to try to do. Cross your fingers. Let's go to Candy first. Candy, what's your question?
You know what, I'm just tuning in, and I was going to ask what district was District 6, and I'm assuming it's Antioch.
That's right.
Well, and also, I just like to wish each one of your panels there, I just like to wish them both good luck on whoever wins this candidate for Metro School. Out of 3 of them that I listened to, they all sound great to me. And before we hang up, I'd like to say, for Sean Joseph, our school director, I think he's doing an awesome job, and I want to continue, and I hope everyone keep backing him. And you all have a very good evening.
Oh, Candy, thank you so very much. Let's go to Mary now. Hi, Mary.
Yes, thank you for taking my phone call. This is something that I encountered in my child's classroom this year. When children with that are not typical regular ed children, but they haven't been assessed for special needs, and they're put into a regular ed classroom. The teacher has challenges dealing with that child, and it's such a lengthy process to get any testing done, to get an IEP, to meet with the special ed teachers. I just wish someone knew how long this takes, and it should be more speedy to meet the needs of these children.
Okay, good feedback there. And I'm not sure if there's really an answer that comes from that other than being aware.
Yeah, I can definitely try to answer a question. My son was on an IEP, and one of the things that I can definitely encourage you to do is that there is a department, it's a special ed department, and they are definitely equipped to making sure that moves forward a lot quicker for her student, for her child. And it's just being real consistent or persistent, and you will get the support you need.
And I think that her concern perhaps was it was taking away from the class because this student wasn't being addressed and the needs, right? You know, the classmate. Right. Aaron, did you want to chime in?
Yeah. What was her name? Mary?
Mary, yes.
It was Mary. Yeah, Mary. I think it's worth me saying that that's a part of the reason why I decided to run, because I advocated with my parents. It was a 2-year process I have an 11-year-old brother who goes to school in MNPS, and for my family it was a 2-year process to work with Metro, to work with Vanderbilt, to have him tested for his IEP. So I understand what your concern is, and I do understand how frustrating it is and sometimes how cumbersome it is, and that's why advocacy is really, really important. So as far as the teachers are concerned, the one thing that I do think is worth saying is that that's why that budget is important, particularly when you talk about professional development, and particularly when you talk about support staff, to make sure that there's a balance, that our teachers are equipped, that they have the trainings that they need to be able to at least see what the signs are and to direct them to the paraprofessionals, the social workers, the case managers, to make sure that that child gets the immediate attention that they need. And I think that's a big issue for parents. Parents are getting the IEPs, but they're not happening as swiftly as we would all like
it to happen. Aaron, Earl, sorry.
It's okay, but and just to kind of finish that out, and being one who definitely believes in a structured environment per se, and I believe in inclusion as well. So I think that we, again, going back to that piece about funding and paraprofessionals and having people that are actually there to address those issues, while we do need to create an environment, and having worked in the school system, we need to create an environment where those children can have that time that they need, that one-on-one, that special care, but also keeping in mind too that they too are going to grow up and be integrated into society. So we need to make sure that we're doing what we're doing every day to make sure that they're also included in that learning process as well.
Okay, let's jump to Robert. Robert, thank you for your patience. What's your question tonight?
Yes, over the past 2 or 3 months, I've really been a TV junkie when it comes to watching the school board on the Metropolitan television station. Cannot tell you how incredibly disappointed it has been to watch the continuity amongst our Metro school board. And I hope the elected candidates or candidates to be elected for District 6 will look to bring some type of continuity back on the board. So disappointed in the chairman, the way these board members do not support Dr. Joseph's agenda, what he puts forward, board members meeting with teachers, and it's just been a real disappointment to watch the continuity amongst our school board members. And I hope out of the 3 candidates you have on TV this evening that they are about continuity and instilling what the role of the board should be in support of Dr. Joseph and his agenda. And it's been a total travesty. As these Metro school board meetings have been on television, it's been one of the great things that has happened. But good luck to all 3 candidates. Once again, I guess my question at the end of the day, what continuity can you bring back to the board of elected from District 6 to bring confidence back to the parents of Metro schools, and just let us know that Dr. Joseph's back will be taken by new blood that comes in there, and just the
All right, Robert, let me answer that because our time is running short, so I hate to cut you up, but I don't have to do it. And we have about 3 minutes left to go, so I'm going to let you answer that and let this be your wrap-up, your final sales pitch to voters out there. Fran, I'm going to let you go first if you can keep it to about a minute.
Okay, well, I thank you again. And again, if I'm elected, one of the things that we have to do, we have to bring back trust. We have to make sure we have trust amongst our parents and our teachers, and our students are watching us. So it's really important that we are being the adults that we need to be in order to be leaders for our kids. Right now, we have to make some changes. We need a board that's going to do the right things and going to vote in the right direction when it comes to our teachers and our students, our support staff, our bus drivers. We got to get this right. And in order for us to get this right, we have to have school board members that understand how to be fiscally responsible, understand the needs of our children, understand the needs of our teachers so that we can retain our teachers and make sure we can keep our kids in the district. So I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get busy. Thank you.
Earl?
All right, to set policy to ensure that our director of schools is supported and ensure that he or she, whoever they may be, has the resources they need to do their job and to oversee and maintain that budget. Those are the roles and the job of a board member. And I want to ensure that I'm doing those things with integrity and doing it with the best interest of children at heart. So bringing that back to the board, that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, Earl. Aaron?
Well, to address Robert's question, for me, it's about, when you talk about continuity, my leadership philosophy is simple, particularly as it relates to being a governing board member for MNPS. And when you talk about supporting Dr. Joseph, I do want to say that I think we have to get back to focusing on student outcomes, but my role in terms of continuity would be to make sure that there's a clear framework in place for Dr. Joseph to follow. As a governing board member, school board members are Dr. Joseph's boss. They hired him, but we have a responsibility to make sure that the path is clear for him to be successful, because Nashville needs him to be successful. And when he's off track, we hold him accountable, we give him the evaluation, and when he wins for our schools, I think that we celebrate Dr. Joseph, but more importantly, we celebrate the school district. I'm asking for your consideration for your vote as you go to the polls tomorrow, and I appreciate you.
All right, Aaron, Earl, Fran, thank you for spending the last hour here. We really appreciate your openness, your candidness. Tomorrow we'll be talking with the candidates from District 8. We hope you'll join us once again. Ask your questions. I'll have some of my own. Thank you once again, and good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.